What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast. Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I wanted to talk about yet another Gottlieb payout game. This is August of 1935's Plus and Minus. Plus and Minus was the follow-on game to Liberty Bell, and in fact it used the same Liberty Bell graphic at the top of the playfield, and the same Liberty Bell mint vendor, which, as I mentioned in last episode, caused some confusion as to the actual title of this game. Now, it's called Plus and Minus because each hole labeled on the playfield that can trap one of your balls, and you have 10 on this game, is labeled with either a positive value or a negative value. Now, unfortunately, I have no idea what your goal is. If you're trying to get 100 points, if you're trying to get a specific value, if you're trying to get matches on either positive or negative, I don't know. But what I do know is that the playfield has a variety of holes, each of which is labeled with both a number, again either positive or negative, and a picture. Now I'm assuming because each hole has a picture that this is actually a matching game, similar to Gottlieb's two previous efforts, but I have no guarantee of that. Down at the bottom of the playfield, there's actually a free play hole, and if you land in that, the ball actually just returns to you, similar to the ball return on a Bally Bingo. Now, the cabinet on this game used the same cabinet graphic as Liberty Bell and Match Play before it, with the stripes. The wood itself is much lighter than the colors used on the previous two efforts. Now, let's talk mechanisms. I mentioned at the top of the episode that this game had the same Liberty Bell mint vendor that the previous game did. So every time that you put in a coin, it would actually give you a roll of mints, whether you wanted them or not. And the reason for this is so that you got something for every coin that you put in. You couldn't argue that you were gambling, because really what you were doing was buying mints, and you got the opportunity to win back the money that you paid for the mints. Who wouldn't love that? Now, this game has a needle tilt mechanism, which are very cool. They remind me of older Looney Tunes cartoons. But there's essentially an arrow that'll say OK on one side, and if it moves to the left, it'll say tilted. And if it's tilted, then your score is void and you don't get your payout. Now, I mentioned in yesterday's episode that I didn't know how the payout functioned exactly, but luckily there are a ton of pictures of Plus and Minus on IPDB, and this person has an intact payout set up, and I can tell you exactly how it works. There's essentially a brass tube that each penny or nickel goes into, straight from the coin slide, and that tube contains all of the money which is used to pay out. Now, the way it works is when it detects a match, then the game will activate this gigantic solenoid, which apparently has two functions. It will allow a coin to drop and also step a stepper. Now, the stepper unit that's shown in this picture, you can tell, is before Gottlieb really got the design of steppers down cold. Yes, it's a stepper as you might think traditionally. There's a spider that sits on top of a disc with rivets, but the way the fingers are arranged and also the pattern of rivets is kind of funky. So this is obviously counting the number of coins that is paid out, and it will stop at a preset amount based on which two items on your playfield you matched. I think it's super cool. I would love to have one of these early payout games. This one in particular is really beautiful, as is Liberty Bell, especially because of that fancy tilt mechanism. And the mint vendor just takes the cake. Who doesn't love mints? And the way it's designed, it's supposed to give the appearance of always being chock full of mints. Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, also at Bingo Podcast. Or you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.